here's Brody Brazil.
You know, if you try explaining this entire Rays situation to somebody who hasn't been paying attention, it's very difficult. There are so many dynamics. There's so many moving parts. So I thought the best way to approach this video would be to kind of set the record straight on the Rays in terms of, here are the things we don't know right now, but here's a bunch of other things that we do know. We can actually grasp about this situation right now, and that we should say here and now, so that they're documented and they live on in the future as we look back on history. Here are some things all on one screen that we don't know about the Rays. We don't know if or when Stu Sternberg would actually sell the team. And I say if, I mean, he's made it very clear. His co-presidents have made it very clear. He has no intention of selling the team, but that's just what he's saying in the public and in the media. Of course, that could change. Anything could change, as we've seen in recent weeks and months. But also when. If there is a sale, when does it happen? And that's important because that might matter who it goes to or what brought it to a sale. Like, for example, has Major League Baseball and its owners, not just the commissioner. The commissioner is the middle person here. Major League Baseball owners would be the one to really apply pressure through the commissioner to Sternberg and the Rays for a sale of the team. But has there really been pressure, or is that just being talked about? Is there any specific, I don't want to say threat, but any real urgency made by baseball to this team? Like, you've had trouble getting a new stadium. We can't have this linger. We don't want to damage relationships with St. Pete or Tampa. We don't want to ruin this for anybody else down the road. Has baseball really gone that far to apply some internal pressure on this? This is something we don't know. It could be that all of those headlines and rumors about baseball pressuring the Rays for a sale, it could be somebody else has made all that up. And of course, baseball is not going to confirm or deny that. It's been reported from legitimate sources, but where did it begin, essentially? So we don't really know to what extent, if any, Major League Baseball has pressured the sale. But when Sternberg might sell kind of also matters into who he would sell it to. I mean, and I think if you're selling a team, you simply do it to the highest bidder, but Stu Sternberg would also have control over where the Rays might ultimately end up if he does sell the team, because there's going to be investors from Orlando. There's going to be these multiple Tampa-based groups. So he kind of has in his power, if selling the team, the ability to decide where the team goes or stays. What if he sold it to a group in Utah? Now, of course, the sale would have to be approved. Any team relocation would have to be approved by owners. So it's not just entirely up to him, but he could obviously make things difficult depending on who and where he wants to sell this team to. What about Tropicana Field being repaired? If, in fact, the city of St. Petersburg does put forward that $60 million approximately, and then the Rays are obligated to play there for at least 3 more years. If the city is obligated to pay for it, guess what? The Rays are obligated to play there. It's all written out in a contract from 30 years ago, but will it be repaired? Is St. Petersburg really going to move forward with that? Are they going to try and get out of that? Are they going to try and cut a deal around that? More on that in just a second. We don't know that. And then how will 2025 go? The Rays, for the first time ever, playing home games outdoors in Central Florida in the summertime. And we already know that rain has been an issue for the Yankees single-A team who plays in the ballpark where the Rays are about to go, Steinbrenner Field, about 8 games per year. They have rainouts or postponements or massive delays where they finish the game another day. Like, all of this could get very messy. We just don't know. We've never had this before, the Rays outdoors. Here's what we do know. This could have been much easier. We could be 3 steps down the road in a much more secure, understood, stable situation if the Rays had gone forward with the deal that they proposed more than a year ago, the one that the city and the county both approved. We'd have some answers, but instead the Rays walked away from their own deal. And it's been said before by some St. Pete city council members like Richie Floyd, where else are they going to get this kind of deal? They walked away. Let's make it very clear and set the record straight here. They walked away from $600 million of city and county money, plus about another $400 million in added benefits, about $1 billion worth of a package here, including the land, the gas plant district site, 60 plus acres of land they would have control over. They would have been able to purchase for a very under market value price. And they're the ones that are walking away from this. Let's make it very clear. This wasn't the city or the county that messed up. This is the Rays, for whatever reason, backing away. And they claim the reason they're backing away was because of Hurricane Milton, which, believe it, you can believe that or not, but the cost is the main part of this. Because of delays of voting and approval, they wanted this, they said, approved in October. Turns out it was only approved in December. So about a 60-day delay in the approval. The Rays say it cost $150 million of extra money or part of a factor into this towards the project. But the Rays also showed no proof of why that was. I mean, we can understand that if the project was delayed, maybe to some degree, maybe it's $10 million, $15 million, but $150 million change from October to December. And wasn't that price going to go up no matter what? Because construction hadn't started. If things were going to cost more, whether it's inflation or tariffs, interest rate or whatever, I mean, wasn't all of this built in and baked into their plan and their concept from the beginning? Apparently it wasn't, but the Rays still showed no proof of the fact that this just went up. They published this number. They came out with this number. They said that it was never a slam dunk to begin with, even though their slogan was here to stay. Like, we do know that their slogan was here to stay. And now $150 million is basically going to sink the ship. We don't even know if it was 150, and we can't even prove any of that. Here's also what we do know. If you're doing any type of project right now, it's not optimal timing for construction. With things I just mentioned, inflation, interest rates going up. You've got to borrow money to do a project. If you're going to have to pay it back to a larger degree, that doesn't go well towards your stadium timing. Tariffs, and who knows what the next couple weeks and months and years bring. And the stock market, not exactly being the most stable or great place right now. None of that lends itself to funding a stadium and its construction right now. And so the Rays can point the finger at a hurricane or politicians or whatever, but maybe it's as simple as this, and I don't know why they just wouldn't admit it. If you show your math, then at least people can believe you. Like, all they have to do is come forward and say, well, we're not in position to do this like we once were. But for whatever reason, they can't do that. And maybe they can't do that because other owners across the league would say, well, then we need to put this team in the hands of somebody else who can get it done financially. Here's what else we do know. Tampa always seemed like the preferred site and location for fans, even though here the Rays, in their doings and dealings, decided that eventually St. Pete in the gas plant district and right next to Tropicana Field is where they were going to operate. There were a lot of people maybe let down. They were encouraged by the slogan here to stay, which is not for sure. And they were discouraged by the fact that here to stay meant in St. Pete, not trying to get it right on the other side of the bridge where most people are coming from anyway, over in Tampa. And the Eber City site, that may have been what everybody talked about and wanted in the first place. That might be another reason why the Rays kind of got their cold feet on all of this. Let's see, the money's not right, the site's not right. Even though everybody's approved this, we don't have to be in until we're in. So actually, you know what? We're out. But again, the Rays cannot and have not admitted this yet. And it would be so much easier if they said, you know what? After careful consideration, location is everything. We want to get this right for our region. And if we're going to spend the next 50 plus years somewhere, we want to do it where people want us. And so this seemed like a good idea 2 years ago, but we've evolved. We're going to do this right. We're going to do this better. But they haven't said that yet. See, everything I'm saying would make this a lot more understandable to the public, but instead, none of it's being said. Here's what else we know. Rob Manfred in Major League Baseball, they continue to play such a passive role in letting all of this get unfortunate and ugly and uncertain and all the back and forth and letting people speculate. I mean, this is happening, I say yet again, it happened in Oakland. Rob Manfred let the A's and Oakland and Alameda County and the Joint Powers Authority of the Coliseum, they let them battle it out in public. Instead, this is your product. This is your marketing. This is something that you should want to protect, your image, your branding as a Major League Baseball franchise. And now they're up in Sacramento and they still can't land a stadium in Las Vegas. And people in Nevada are like, what is actually going on here? You keep saying you're coming, but where's the first $100 million for the stadium project? The point is, Rob Manfred has obviously made it his point to work for and protect owners across baseball, but what about the fans? What about the image? What about letting this situation continue to devolve and questions and uncertainty? Like, if you're a player on the Rays and you're under contract for 3 more years, you're like, where am I going to be playing in 2027? It should never be that uncertainty. I'm just saying Rob Manfred doesn't have direct control over all of this, and neither does Major League Baseball, but they could do such a better job in playing an active role in these messages and messaging rather than being so passive about it and just kind of like, whoa, we're not paying attention. We'll let you guys figure that out. Here's what else we do know. Hurricane Milton, in my opinion, it did play a huge part in all of this. Like, without the hurricane, Tropicana Field would be fine still. The Rays would have all these questions and maybe potential sale stuff, but it wouldn't have risen to the surface as fast and as intense as it has in recent weeks and months since early October. But you know what else played a factor, I think, in all of this? And we should go back on some older videos I made at the very beginning of all this. There was, I think, some potential neglect in the upkeep of the roof at Tropicana Field, like that Teflon fabric. It wasn't meant to last the full 30-plus years that it already has. It should have been replaced somewhere along the way. So it's not really to anybody's surprise that it ripped off when a hurricane rolled through. And also, insurance coverage was fine on the building. It would have covered all the damage. Instead, they rolled back the insurance coverage. I think the city of St. Pete did. Literally within the prior 6 months before the hurricane, they thought, well, we don't need this. The building's getting older. We'll cut back the insurance. And then the hurricane hits. And then they don't have enough money to fix it all on their own. They're going to rely on FEMA and their own $20 million, apparently, out of the 60 total. But we should not overlook the fact that Hurricane Milton has made this so much more difficult. Potential neglect of the roof itself has made this so much more difficult. And not covering the building with insurance to a proper degree, that's also made this more difficult than it needs to be. Here's what else we don't know. Playing outdoors in Tampa, like the Rays are about to do, the Tarpons are the Yankees single-A team who actually played Steinbrenner Field all summer long. And on average, across the last decade, this is not just last year or 2 years ago, on average, they have 8 games per season, the Tarpons do, that get postponed or significantly delayed. And so you're likely to see that same trend at least get to 8, or could be worse, could be 10. If they're lucky, maybe it's only 6 during the 2025 season, but that's like 6 games that you might have to turn into double headers. And imagine travel days, and imagine getaway days, and imagine teams that aren't coming back to Central Florida for games. And now you got to figure out, how do we revisit that Yankees-Rays game that got rained out in June because of the thunderstorm, and we're not due to see him back here for the rest of the season? I'm just making that up, but you understand my point. Like, it gets very dicey very quickly. No team also wants to have 6 additional doubleheaders, even if they can make it work in the schedule. This could get ugly. Here's what else we do know. St. Pete is obligated to pay about $56 million in repairs for Tropicana Field. And it's also likely that it could go through and they could just say yes to it right now because contractually they kind of have to. But I also think they're likely to explore at the same time every way around this. How do we not have to do this? Can we cut a deal with the Rays? Do they want to get out of this too? Right? St. Pete is going to try and figure out every way they don't have to do this, even if they ultimately do and go forward with it. It's like a bill that you don't want to pay. Can I ask them to cut it in half? Can I ask them to delay this? Can I get 10% off? City of St. Petersburg, is going to try everything possible to get around this or get out of this before they actually go through with this. And if St. Pete repairs Tropicana Field, the Rays are legally obligated to play 3 more years there. So all of this talk about Orlando and whatever else, if the city of St. Pete wants to just nail and land down the Rays for at least 3 more years and make the Rays exit a lot more difficult, they can lock them down in 2 seconds. Here's $56 million or whatever it takes to fix up the Trop, and so long as they do it in time for 2026, the Rays won't be playing anywhere else. Then it's up to the Rays to try and get out of that deal early, if in fact that's actually what they want to do. So more to be seen on that. What else we do know, Tropicana Field suffered a lot more damage than we realize and still remains exposed to the wet elements. And there was a great piece by Jason Stark in The Athletic. Several Rays players have actually gone back to Tropicana Field. I didn't realize this, for workouts since October. The clubhouse and some of the training facilities, they were actually open to several players. Apparently the field was off limits because it was soaked and swampy and mushy. I mean, I just don't know that this is a great idea for this building to remain exposed to the elements across the spring and summer months where it rains a lot and there's a lot of water, and it was never meant to be inside this facility. Imagine, like, take the roof off of wherever you live right now. Like, your ceiling is all of a sudden the sky. Imagine all that stuff in your house. And it rains tomorrow. And it rains the next day. And it's cold, and then it's hot, and then it's humid, then it rains again. Think about the disgusting nature of, like, how your house would be. This is what Tropicana Field is going through right now. Nothing is getting better there until it starts getting fixed. The Rays have also, we know this also, the Rays have floated the idea of a $600 million improvement job on Tropicana Field. And then what they would want to do as part of that would be to say, hey, it's fixed. We'll throw in a 10 to 15 year extension on our lease. We'll stay there a little bit longer if we all chip in $200 million. The team, the city of St. Petersburg and Pinellas County, 200, that gets to $600 million. That won't fly. The city and the county, they just offered up about $300 million apiece, and that was for a 30-year agreement. So you think they do $200 million for each for 10 years? Very unlikely that Tropicana Field is going to get renovated, even though that's what the Rays have said that is now their preference. It's a non-starter for anybody on the political side. And here's what we also know. Fans who have put up with uncertainty for years and decades, they do not deserve this. Neither do Rays players. Again, this is where Major League Baseball needs to step in, add some stability, create some options, help a little bit with the PR, make the team say the things that are uncomfortable, stop running from things, stop hiding from things, show the math a little bit. Like, you have your own side to this, and if it's valid and fair, just explain it so people can understand it so that they don't make criticisms that are unfair. Help the public and help yourself at the same time. So, trying to set the record straight here with the Rays, again, try explaining this to somebody who hasn't been paying attention. There are so many things going on here. It is so complex and detailed at this point, and I can't wait to see how it ultimately concludes, hopefully in a very good way for baseball fans in the Tampa Bay region. That's the end of this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Also, thumbs up while you're down there. That helps me, this video, and this channel. And don't forget to subscribe. Hit that button down below right now so I can definitely see you back here next time.